Hi, welcome to Math Class with Miss B. Today's lesson, we're going to go over adding and subtracting integers using counters. Here are your state standards that will be covered, and by the end of this lesson, you will be able to model integer addition and subtraction problems using counters. So when you model integer addition and subtraction using counters, you use one counter. It may be a circular or square shaped. You may see some of them square shaped. One color to represent positive integers, another color to represent negative integers. So if I have one positive integer, the number that this really represents is 1. If you see one negative integer chip, that means that it is -1. Now, one thing I want you to pay careful attention to is a special pair, and that's called a zero pair, and that's when you have one positive plus one negative, they equal 0. The reason that they equal 0 is because they are opposites. Positive and negative are opposites. It's kind of like hot and cold combined together, 1 for 1, it equals 0. It neutralizes it. So hot and cold make lukewarm. So it's kind of think of as 0 as lukewarm. So how do we show addition with these chips? I want you to remember some key concepts. The first is a positive number plus a positive equals a positive. So if I have positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here, I have to start off with 7 positive, so that will be 7. And I add to it 3 more positives. This is a positive plus a positive. My answer will be having technical difficulties. Okay. So my answer will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, positive 10. So we just modeled a positive plus a positive equals a positive. So positive 7 plus positive 3 equals 10. What happens when you have a negative plus a negative? Negative plus a negative equals a negative. So here I have -1, 2. And then I add to the board more negatives. I added 6 more negatives. What will my total be that I have? How many do you see here? You see 8 negatives all total. So you can say that -2 plus -6 gives me a total of 8 negatives. So my answer is -8. So that's what happens when you have two of the same signs, either a negative plus negative or a positive plus positive. Here's what you're going to end up with. Your situations will look like this. However, what happens is slightly different when you're adding integers with two different signs. So sometimes you may have a positive plus a negative, or you may have a negative plus a positive. So this first example, I start off with my first number. My first number is obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My first number is positive 5. And I'm going to add to that. But when you have two different signs, the way I add them is slightly different. I put all of one sign in one row, and then I put the other sign below it in another row, because makes the zero pairs line up better. So here I have +5, and I'm adding to that -2. So this is +5 plus -2. Now remove a zero pair from the board, or any zero pairs that you have from the board. So when you're showing this in your homework, I want to see each step. So what you're going to do is you're going to put down the first number, which is a +5. Make sure you label your counters. Then add to that the -2 in a row below it. And you want to show that you're going to take away the zero pairs, because once you get a zero pair, that equals 0, and you can remove it from the board. So now I'm going to remove this pair here. I want you to circle it and draw an arrow showing that you would be removing these from the board. And then you're also going to remove this pair here. And what you are left with will be your answer. So if I remove that pair and I remove that pair, you would be left with a +3. So the answer in this situation of 5 plus -2 is equal to a +3. All right, so let's work out some examples using, we don't need to work out the negative plus a negative and the positive plus a positive, because those are pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to work out the situations where there's two different signs. So here we have -5 plus 2. So that means I'm going to start off with 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start off with 5 negatives, and then I'm going to add to the board 2 positives. Remember, I put those in a row below the other sign. Now, if you notice, I have created 2 zero pairs. Whenever you get a zero pair, you take it away. It goes away. So I will be left with -3 here. Here we have a +5 minus a +2. So I'm going to start off with +5, so 5 of the yellows. Start off with 5 yellows, and then I need to take away. So remember, the minus symbol means to take away. So remember, I don't need to add anything else onto the board because I'm subtracting. So I started off with 5 positives. Now I'm going to take away 2 of those positives. So I'm going to circle the 2 positives and draw an arrow, meaning it's going to be taken away. And I will be left with 3 positives. In this example, we have a -5 minus a -2. So I would start off with 5 negatives on the board. That's what you would start off with. So we have our 5 negatives, and we are being told to take away, because we have a minus symbol. So that means I'm going to take away something. I'm going to take away 2 negatives. So once again, you're going to show that by circling what's being taken away and draw arrow. What is remaining would be -3. Sometimes you need to insert zero pairs in order to do your subtraction. So I'm going to show you what that situation looks like. So I would start off with 5 positives, but they want me to take away 2 negatives. So there's my 5 positives, and I need to take away 2 negatives. Well, the problem is I don't have any negatives here. So how can I take away something that I do not have? In order to do that, you are going to manipulate what's on the board to where you will be able to take away 2 negatives. So what's on the board right now is 5. The only thing I can add to 5 that doesn't change its value is 0. We went over that with the identity property of addition. 0 plus any number is that number. So if I add 0 to 5, I'm not changing my number, my integer. I'm just changing the way it appears with my chips. So if I add 1 0, remember a 0 pair is a pair, so you got to add a negative and a positive. So that's 1 0 pair. Now I have one negative that I can take away, but I need two because it says it wants me to take away two negatives. So I need to add another 0 pair, a positive and a negative. And now I have two negatives that came along with those 0 pairs that I can now take away. So I'm only going to take away what they asked me to, which is the negatives. I'm going to leave behind the positive portion of those 0 pairs. And what's remaining is my answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the answer would be positive 7. Here's another example of where we're going to have to add zeros to the board in order to subtract. So I'm going to start off with 5 negatives. That's going to be my starting position, 5 negatives. There are my 5 negatives, and they need me to take away 2. That is a positive 2. If it's not written, it is a positive 2. So I need to take away 2 positives, and I don't have any positives. So what am I going to do? I'm going to manipulate the board by adding 0. So right now I have negative 5, and I need to take away a positive 2. So I need to add those positives in the form, that positive 2. I need to add them with my 0 pairs. So I need 2 0 pairs because they have positives with them. And then I can take away those 2 positives and leave behind those 2 negatives. And I end up with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negatives.